Hey people, it's Kola. This is another reading of John Milton's Paradise Lost. Under amazement of their hideous change, he called so aloud that all the hollow deep of hell resounded. Princes, potentates, warrior, the flow of heaven, once yours now lost. If such astonishment as this can seize, eternal spirits, so have ye chosen in this place, after the toil of battle to repose, your wearied virtue for the ease you find, to slumber here as in the vales of heaven. Or in this abject posture have ye sworn to adore the conqueror who now beholds, cherub and seraph rolling in the flood, scattered arm and ensign still anon, his swift pursuers from heaven gates discern, the advantage and descending tread us down, first trooping over linked thunderbolts, transfix us to the bottom of this gulf. Awake, arise, or be forever fallen. They heard and were abashed, and up they sprung, upon the wing as when men wont to watch, on duty sleeping found by whom they dread, aroused and bestirred themselves ere well awake. Nor did they not perceive the evil plight in which they were, nor the fierce pains not feel, yet to their general's voice they soon obeyed. Innumerable, as when the potent rod of Amran's son in Egypt's evil day waved round the coast up-called a pitchy cloud, of locusts warping on the eastern wind, that o'er the realm of impious Pharaoh hung, like night, and darkened all the land of Nile. So numberless were those bad angels seen, hovering on wing under the cope of hell, twixt upper never and surrounding fires, till as a signal given, the uplifted spear of their great sultan waving to the wrecked, their course in even balance down they light, on the fire brimstone and fill all the plain, a multitude like which the populace north poured, never from her frozen loins, to pass Renee or the Danube, where her barbarous sons came like a deluge on the south, and spread beneath Gibraltar to the Libyan sands. Forthwith from every squadron and each band, the heads and leaders thither haste where stood their great commander, godlike shapes and forms, excelling human, princely dignities, and powers that erst in heaven sat on thrones, though of their names in heavenly records now be no memorial, blotted out and razed by their rebellion from the books of life. Nor had they yet among the sons of Eve got them new names till wandering over the earth, knew God's high sufferance for the trial of man, by falsities and lies the greatest part of mankind they corrupted to take God their creator and the invisible, glory of him that made them to transform, after the image of a brute, adorned with gay religions full of pomp and gold, and devils to adore for deities. Then were they known to men by various names, and various idols through the heathen world. Say muse, their numbers then known, who first to lust, roused from the slumber on that fiery couch, at their great emperor's call, as next in worth, came singly where he stood on the bare strand, while the promiscuous crowd stood yet aloof. The chief were those who from the pit of hell, roaming to seek their prey on earth, durst fix their seat, long after next the seat of God. Their altars by his altar, gods adored, among the nations round and durst abide, Jehovah thundering out a sound, throned between the cherubim, yea, often placed within his sanctuary itself their shrines, abominations and with cursed things, his holy rites and solemn feasts profaned. And with their darkness durst affront his light. First Moloch, horrid king, besmeared with blood, of human sacrifices and parents' tears. Though for the noise of drums and timbrels loud, their children cries unheard, then pass through fire, to his grim idol, him the Ammonite, worshipped in Rabbah and her Watiri plain. In Argob and in Basan, to the stream of utmost Arnon, nor content with such audacious neighborhood, the wise heart of Solomon he fled by fraud to build his temple right against the temple of God, on that opprobrious hill, and made his grove the pleasant valley of Hinnom, Tophet fence, and black Gehenna called the type of hell. Next Chemos, the obscene dread of Moab's sons, from Aroah to Nebo, and the wild of southmost Abarim, in Hezebon, and Horonaim, Sion's realms beyond. The flowery tale of Sibma clad with vines, in Eliel to the asphaltic pool. Peor is our name when he enticed Israel in sitting on the march from Nile, to do him wanton rites which cost them woe, yet fences lustful orgies being lodged, even to that hill of scandal by the grove, of Moloch homicide, lust hard by hate, till good Drusiah drove them hence to hell. With these came they who from the bordering flood of old Euphrates to the brook that parts Egypt from Syrian ground, had general names of Bale and Ashtaroth, those male, those feminine, for spirits when they please, can either sex assume or both so soft, and compounded their essence pure, not tied or manacled with joint or limb, nor found on the brittle strength of bones like cumbrous flesh, but in what shape they choose, dilated or condensed, bright or obscure, can execute their airy purposes, and works of love or enmity fulfill. For these the race of Israel oft forsook, their living strength and unfrequented left his righteous altar, bowing lowly down to bestial gods, for which their heads as low bowed down in battle, sunk before the spear of despicable foes. With these in troop came Ashtoreth, whom the Phoenicians called Astarte, queen of heaven, with crescent horns, to whose bright image nightly by the moon Sidonian virgins paid their vows and songs. In Sion, also not unsung, where stood her temple, all the offensive mountain, built by that uxorious king whose heart, though large, beguiled by fair idolatresses, fell to idols foul. Phamos came next behind, whose annual wound in Lebanon allured the Syrian damsels to lament his fate, and amorous ditties all a summer's day, while smooth Adonis from his native rock ran purple to the sea, supposed with blood, of Phamos yearly wounded. The love tale infected Sion's daughters with like hate, whose wanton passions in the sacred porch Ezekiel saw, when by the vision led his eye surveyed the dark idolatries of alienated Judah. Next came one who mounted in earnest when the captive's ark maimed his brute image, head and hands lopped off in his own temple on the Grunzel edge, where he fell flat and shamed his worshippers. Dagon his name, sea monster, upward man, and downward fish, yet his temple high reared in Azotus, dreaded through the coast of Palestine in Gath and Ascalon, and Acheron and Gaza's frontier bounds. Him followeth Rimmon, whose delightful seat was fair Damascus on the fertile banks of Abana and far lucid streams. He also against the house of gold was built bold. A leper once he lost and gained a king, Ahaz the Scottish conqueror, whom he drew God's altar to disparage and displace, for one of Syrian mold whereon to burn his odious offerings and adore the gods, whom he had vanquished. And these appeared a crew, who under name of old renown, Osiris, Isis, Horus and their train, with monstrous shapes and sorceries abused fanatic Egypt and her priest, to seek their wandering gods disguised in brutish forms, rather than human. Nor did Israel escape the infection when their borrowed gold composed a calf in Oreb, and the rebel king doubled that sin in Bethel and in Dan, likening his maker to the grazed ox. Jehovah, who in one night, when he passed from Egypt marching, equal with one stroke both her firstborn and all her bleeding gods. Belial came last, then whom her spirit more lewd, fell not from heaven, or more gross to love vice for itself. To him no temple stood, or altar smote. Yet who more oft than he in temples and altars when the priest turned atheist, as did Eli's sons, who filled with lust and violence the house of God. In courts and palaces he also reigns, and in luxurious cities where the noise of riot ascends above their loftiest towers, and injury and outrage, and when night darkens in the streets, then wander forth the sons of Belial, flown of insolence and wine. Witness the streets of Sodom, and that night in Gibeah, when hospital door exposed a matron to avoid worse rape. These were the prime in order and in might, the rest were long to tell, though far renowned. The Ionian gods of Javan's issue held, gods yet confessed later than heaven and earth, their boasted parents, Titan heaven's firstborn with his enormous brood, in birthright seized by younger Saturn. He from mightier Jove his own and rare son like measure found. So Jove usurping reigned, these first in Crete, and Ida known, thence on the snowy top of cold Olympus ruled the middle air, their higher heaven, or on the Delphian cliff, or in Dodona, and through all the bounds of Doric land, or with Saturn old. Fled over Adria to the Hesperian fields, and o'er the Celtic Rhone the utmost isles. All these and more came flocking, but with looks downcast and damp, in search wherein appeared obscure some glimpse of joy, to have found their chief, not in despair, to have found themselves not lost in loss itself, which on his countenance cast like doubtful hue, but he his wonted pride, soon recollecting with high words, that bore semblance of worth, nor substance, gently raised their fainting courage, and dispelled their fears. Then strict commands that at the warlike sound of trumpets, louds, and clarions be upreared. His mighty standard, that proud honor claimed, Azazel as his right, a cherub tall, who forthwith from the glittering staff unfurled the imperial ensign, which full high advanced, shone like a meteor streaming to the wind. With gems and golden luster rich emblazed, seraphic arms and trophies, all the while sonorous metal, blowing martial sounds. At which the universal host upsent a shout that tore hell's concave and beyond, frightened the reign of chaos and old night. All in a moment, through the gloom was seen 10,000 banners rise into the air, with orient colors waving. With them rose a forest, huge as spears and thronging helms. Appeared in serried shields in thick array, of depth immeasurable, and on they move, in perfect phalanx to the Dorian mood, of flutes and soft recorders such as raised to height of noblest ineptable heroes, old arming to battle, and instead of rage, deliberate valor, breathed firm and unmoved, with dread of death to flight or foul retreat, not wanting power to mitigate and assuage, with solemn touches trouble thoughts, and chase anguish and doubt, and fear and sorrow and pain, from mortal or immortal minds. Thus they breathing united force with mixed thought, moved on in silence to soft pipes that charmed their painful steps o'er the burnt soil, and now advanced in view they stand, a horrid front, of dreadful length and dazzling arms in guise of warriors old, with sworded spear and shield, awaiting what command their mighty chief had to impose. He through the armed files darts his experienced eye and soon traverse. The whole battalion views their order due, their visages and stature as of gods, their number last he sums, and now his heart distends with pride, and hardening in his strength glories for never since created man. Met such embodied force as name of these could merit more than that small infantry, warred on by cranes, though all the giant brood of Phalegra with the toxic race were joined, that fought at Thebes and Ilium on each side, mixed with auxiliary gods and what resounds, in fable or romance of Ufer's son, begirt with British and Armoric knights, and all who since baptized or infidel, jousted in Aspermont or Montalban, Damasco or Morocco, or Trebizond, or whom Biserta sent from Afric's shore. When Charlemagne with all his peerage fell by Fontarabia, thus far these beyond compare mortal prowess, yet observe their dread commander. He above the rest in shape and gesture, proudly eminent, stood like a tower. His form had yet not lost her original brightness, nor appeared less than archangel ruined and the excess of glory obscured, as when the sun new risen looked through the horizontal misty air, shorn of his beams or from behind the moon. In dim eclipse disastrous twilight sheds on half the nations, and with fear of change perplexes monarchs, darkened so, yet shone above them all the archangel, but his face deep scars of thunder had entrenched, and care sat on his faded cheek. But under brows of dauntless courage and considerate pride, waiting revenge, cruel his eye, but cast sign of remorse and passion to behold. The fellows of his crime, the followers rather for other than once beheld in bliss, condemned for ever now to have lost their lot in pain. Millions of spirits for his fault immersed, of heaven and from eternal splendors flung. For his revolt, yet faithful how they stood, their glory withered, as when heaven's fire hath scathed the forest oaks or mountain pines. With singed top their stately growth, though bare stands on their plastered heath. He now prepared to speak, where at the doubled ranks they bend from wing to wing, and half enclose him round with all his peers, attention held him mute. Thrice he essayed, and thrice, in spite of scorn, tears such as angels sweet burst forth. At last, words interwove with sighs found out their way. O myriads of immortal spirits, O powers matchless but with the Almighty, and that strife was not inglorious, though the event was dire, as this place testifies, and this dire change hateful to utter. But what power of mind, foreseeing or presaging from a depth of knowledge past or present, could have feared how such a united force of gods, how such as stood like these, could ever know repulse? For who can yet believe, though after loss, that after these puissant legions whose exile have emptied heaven, shall fail to reascend, self-raise and repossess their native seat? For me witnessed all the host of heaven, if counsels different or danger shunned. I me have lost a host, but he who reigns monarch in heaven, till then as one secure sound his throne. Upheld by old repute, consent or custom, and his regal state put forth at full, but still his strength concealed, which tempted our attempt, and wrought our fall. Henceforth his might we know, and know our own, so as not either to provoke or dread. New war provoked, our better part remains, to work in close design. My fraud or guile, what force effected not, that he no less at length from us may find who overcomes. By force have overcome but half his foe. Space may produce new worlds, whereof so rife there went a fame in heaven, that ere long intended to create, and therein plant a generation whom his choice regard should favor equal to the sons of heaven. Favor, if but to pry, shall be perhaps our first eruption, thither or elsewhere, or this infernal pit shall never hold celestial spirits in bondage, nor the abyss long under darkness cover. But these thoughts full counsel must mature. Peace is despaired, for who can think submission? War then, or open or understood, must be resolved. He spake, and to confirm his words out flew millions of flaming swords, drawn from the fires of mighty cherubim. The sudden blaze far around illumined hell. Highly they raged against the highest, and fierce with grasped arms clashed on their sounding shields the din of war, hurling defiance towards the vault of heaven. There stood a hill not far, whose grisly top belched fire and rolling smoke. The rest entire shone with a glossy scurf, undoubted sign that in his womb was hid metallic ore, the work of sulphur. Thither winged with speed a numerous brigade hastened, as when bands of pioneers with spade and pick as armed forerun the royal camp to trench a field or cast a rampart. Mammon led them on, Mammon the least directed spirit that fell from heaven. For ever in heaven his looks and his thought were always downward bent, admiring more the riches of heaven's pavement, trodden gold, than aught divine or holy else enjoyed, envisioned beatific. By him first, men also, and by him suggestion taught, ransacked the center, and with impious hands rifled the bowels of their mother earth, for treasures better hid. Soon had his crew opened into the hill a spacious wound, and digged out ribs of gold. Let none admire that riches grow in hell, that soil may best deserve their precious vein. And here let those who boast in mortal things, and wondering tell of Babel, and the works of Memphian kings, and how their greatest monuments of fame and strength and art are easily outdone by spirits reprobate. And in now what in an age they with incessant toil and hands innumerate scarce perform. Night on the plain in many cells prepared, that underneath had veins of liquid fire sluiced from the lake, the second multitude. Well, I hope you've enjoyed that. This is the second installment of John Milton's Paradise Lost. I'm Kola. So please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. I'll see you next time. Peace.